back to another episode of The Money Mentor with Graham Home. And continuing on the Changing Lives Financially theme, we have a very special guest today. Welcome, Sharene.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's been a long time coming. You've not just been destroying debt, you've been destroying weight, and you've been smashing health goals and finance goals. There's been a lot happening.
Yes, it's been a really big 18 months for me.
Okay.
Just completely changed everything about my life, really, in the last 18 months. So,
well, that's pretty cool. I don't want to steal any of your thunder. So maybe, how long have you been with Infinity now?
I've actually only officially been with Infinity since September 2024.
Right.
So just not even a year yet.
Okay.
But I started following the principles of Infinity back in March 2024.
Okay.
So just over a year.
Just over a year for the principles, under a year for actually being a client. Okay.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit who you are, your background, and maybe then share, obviously when you started before Infinity and to where we are today.
Sure. I am 56 years old. I'm a grandma. I've got 5 grandchildren, 4 adult children, and then they're 4 partners. So I say I've got 8 adult kids.
Okay.
And 5 grandkids, like I said. I'm divorced. I was divorced at 50 and had to start over.
Yep.
Just had to start over again.
Yep. And that's not easy, especially if you've been out of the workforce, raising children, maternity, all those sorts of things.
It does. It presents its own problems.
It's much harder for women than it is for men to start again.
I think if you have to start over and there's nothing to fall back on, it can be a little bit scary. But I've got a terrific family who stood by me, and I managed to be able to secure a small property to live in rather than renting, which was terrifying, really, to take on a mortgage at 50 and realise that I had to pay it off for 25 years. I had to work for 25 years to get rid of that, but I figured that was my only option.
So when the bank, you think, okay, I'm borrowing at 50, the bank says I've got 25 years to do it till 75. Most people probably don't want to work until 75.
No, and the bank was actually concerned for me.
Right.
They actually said to me, do you comprehend what you're taking on? And I said, well, this is my only option, so I'll take it on.
Okay.
So that was me. I was just stuck in the treadmill of waking up every day knowing I have to go to work today because there's a mortgage payment and it's me. This is the only way that I can leave an inheritance for my children. Okay. If I don't do this, then I leave them nothing. And it was really important to me to actually build at least one thing to be able to pass on to my children and my grandchildren. Okay. So that was kind of my motivation. Okay. I mean, a place to live, but also I want to leave something for my kids. So. Yeah.
And how big was that mortgage when you started?
Look, it was actually very small, really. It was $282,000.
Okay.
So it's a tiny little old housing commission home. Yeah. In a place called Eagleby, south of Brisbane.
Yeah, just up the road.
Just up the road, yeah. And my dad helped me renovate the inside of it. So he and I and my kids, we renovated it so that it was livable. So it was a small mortgage, but that was my capacity. Yep. So I couldn't have borrowed more than that anyway. Okay.
And so were you dictated a little bit about what you could buy, where you could buy at that point in time? You had to go searching for, okay, I can afford to be there and I can afford to be there.
Yes, I knew where I could afford and what I could afford.
Yep.
And so I just had to find something that would suit me.
Okay. And that was how many years ago?
That was in 2019.
2019, okay.
Roughly.
It was about 280 then.
Yeah, 282.
Okay.
That I signed on.
Yeah, and when it was with him, when we started at Infinity, what was the balance then? Was it
I was 251.
So it hadn't moved much at all.
No, it was horrible. I was on fixed interest, 1.9 fixed for 3 year. I thought I was so clever, telling everyone how smart I was. It was horrendous looking back. I think I paid like $6,000 or $7,000 a year off
each year.
It was terrible. Yeah.
Okay.
It was depressing, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to Infinity. What happened when you first came to Infinity?
Well, I first came to Infinity because...
Where did you find me?
I found you through my daughter and son-in-law. Okay. They had recently purchased a home just before the interest rates went up.
Yep.
They had a huge mortgage and they were struggling really hard. And I was trying to do everything I could to help them because I didn't want to see them lose their house. I said, your house is, you can't lose your house. And it was in January of 2024 when they found you and started using your principles, and they tried to tell me about it, and I said, that is not good. That's a scam. That is a big scam.
I'll go fuck myself. Thanks, Sharene.
You know, as a parent, when you watch your children struggling and then they come up with something that just looks too good to be true, I was so concerned for them.
Okay.
And my daughter said, good on her, but she said, you haven't even listened to what it's about.
Shit.
Yeah, we're pretty
Blunt?
raw with each other.
Yeah, okay.
She said, you've got to listen.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'll commit to listening to it.
Yep.
I'll run all my own numbers on it.
Yep.
And then I'll come back to you and explain to you why it won't work.
Okay, this will be it.
So yeah, I listened to the free webinar.
Yep.
It was a Tuesday. It's a defining moment in my life, actually.
Okay.
It was the Tuesday night before the Easter long weekend.
Yep.
So the Tuesday night, I listened to the webinar. I made all my own spreadsheets based on what you said, and I ran my mortgage through my spreadsheets.
Yep.
And I didn't go to bed that night because I couldn't believe the change it was going to make in my life.
Right.
The numbers just don't lie. So
you had to eat your own words.
I did. I called my daughter in the morning and I said, I really hope that you're doing whatever Graham said to do. She said, we've been doing it for 3 months.
So she had the proof in the statements, right?
She already knew how good it was.
She knew she was going to win the debate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it took me 48 hours to change all my bank accounts.
Wow.
By Easter long weekend, I was completely changed over to the model that you ask people to do.
Well done.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when did you first apply to work with us?
It was after the May masterclass.
May masterclass.
I couldn't do the April masterclass, so I had to wait until May.
Yep.
So I applied immediately to do REM.
Yep.
Because you got me so excited.
Right.
That I thought, I can really do this.
Yeah.
So I applied for REM and got a lovely phone call from Louis to say, thank you for your application, but you do not earn enough money to get an investment property.
Bit of a kick in the guts.
Yep. I kind of had an inkling that I might not be up there. And so I was a bit bold and I asked him for a number. I said, what do I need to earn? And he gave me the number and I said, okay, I'll go and get another job.
Okay.
And I'll come back when I've got another job.
Yep.
So it took me 2 months to find another job, as well as the other one. It wasn't a new job I added to it.
Second job.
Yeah, second job.
Yeah.
And I came back and said, here I am. Here's my new income.
Yeah.
I'd like to join.
So we would have refunded you at the time?
Yes, you refunded me. And Louis just said, come back when when you're in a different position. I did say, could I do rapid repay? But I had changed all my bank accounts. I was I had already done all the work, which kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit.
Well, yes and no. We're really honest like that. Like if somebody can have a really good crack at themselves, we don't want to take someone's money if they can start doing it themselves, right? So we're really honest with that.
That's exactly what Louis said to me. He said, look, you've already done all the work.
Yeah.
If we take your money, you don't need to give us your money. You're already doing it.
Yeah, we're really honest with that.
I actually really
Which I
appreciated
respect that he's
that.
done that because that's his job to tell the truth and go, hey, if you haven't figured it out or you can't figure, sure, we can do it for you, but you've already started it all. You're already on the way.
Yeah, and it's actually that kind of integrity really draws me to something or to a company or to a person. If they're that integrous that they would say, we won't take your money, that actually speaks volumes to me.
We've got to be able to do an amazing job to take someone's money. If we can't,
you've done an amazing job by giving the free information. It really works.
Well, I love those messages on socials when someone watches the webinar, and then a couple of months later I get a message going, I can't sleep, you fucked up my brain, blah blah blah. I've gone through my spread. Like I get those too, and I don't screenshot those. But the other ones are like, I get that, and then 2-3 months later, I've I've paid more off my mortgage, and this is what, like, those ones I love sort of taking the names off and asking to share, because they fill me up, because they've done that from a free session.
Yeah, it was from your
Which shows you how fucking broken our system is.
Oh, unbelievable. And the fact that I'd taught my children to do what I was doing, that was heartbreaking for me, that I'd helped my children, or thought I had.
But you can only work with what you have.
Yeah, you only know what you know.
What we don't know, yeah. So, okay. So I'm glad we did the right thing. And then so we said, yep, earn some more money. And you said, okay, cool. And you went off, and in 2 months you went and did that.
I did. I got some more cash.
Okay.
Which actually really then just massively helped my mortgage.
Yeah.
And I came back. I emailed Louis back and said I'm ready to go. Okay. So I submitted all my paperwork again, and he said no again.
He said no again.
He said no again.
What a prick!
I think there was a few different things going on in the background.
Yep.
You know, I had really taken on 2 jobs, 2 huge jobs.
Yep.
And so I guess I understand why.
Yep.
I was a little bit disappointed. So I decided to do something I've never done in my life, and to say, actually, no, I really, really want to join Infinity. Can you have another look? Can you please just see whether or not there's a way that I could join? And the person that I was speaking to at the time asked me what my reason was. And I said, it's actually the community.
Yeah.
I can see the tremendous power of the community that exists within Infinity. It's one thing to have all of the knowledge. It's another thing to be with a like-minded group of people that can really propel you to another level.
Yeah.
And I can do this on my own. I've done it on my own. But to have a community behind you is massive. And it shifts you to a whole different way of thinking. You can actually propel yourself further. So I just asked from that perspective that I felt it would benefit me enough to warrant the money to join.
The investment. Okay. And eventually we said yes.
Actually, it took 2 days after that. And they came back and said, okay, you can join.
Okay.
So it was really good. I'm very grateful that I went through that process. I think it
But you had to fight for it.
I did. I had to fight.
Yeah.
And I normally would just take whatever was said to me the first time and be disappointed. And
so what do you think you were fighting so hard because of the kids being a couple of months in, that you knew how real it was? You knew it was worth fighting for?
Well, they joined.
I'm a bit of an arsehole. I'm very difficult to actually become a client. Like most businesses are desperate to take people's money and do fuck all. We're the opposite. We get too many people. So we actually, it's very unique and very blessed for Beck and I to be in a position to say no. And sometimes can be a little bit cutthroat, because we've got to make a judgment call, and we've got to also say, well, for what you're investing, what's the return we're providing? And if that could be double, it could be, but that really, for us, ethically and morally, it needs to be a really strong return.
Yes.
Because if you invest some money and we can double that money, that's great. But then if you have a life event and that return disappears, you're back to square. So you'd be better off if you hadn't spent it. So we have to make sure we do a really good job to be able to take someone's money.
Oh,
like
100%.
It has to be a big ROI. We are difficult to work with, so you really did fight the fight. But I'm assuming it's because you knew how real it was.
I could see the difference that it had made from my daughter and son-in-law, who went from struggling to barely keeping their home, to every time something happened in their life, they'd come and say, Mum, can you help us? Which I'll always help my kids with anything they need. They went from that to being prosperous. They had enough.
In a short space of time.
In a really short space of time. And I thought, this is remarkable.
Yeah.
Like, I need to do this, and I need to teach my other kids to do this as well. That, I've been telling them the wrong thing all along.
Yep.
So I need to teach them the right way to do things, or at least guide them in the right direction.
Okay. Now, since joining, which was when was it? Sorry?
September last year.
September last year. So what are we, June now? So not that long at all. What have you been able to achieve?
I've knocked $100,000 off my mortgage.
October, November, December, 9 months.
Yeah.
In 9 months,
Yes.
$100,000
Yes.
as an independent, strong, single lady. $100,000
I don't even comprehend the
of principle.
number. Yes, of principle.
Okay.
So
Now, obviously, second job helped. You went out and went, right, I'm
Second
having a
job.
crack at this. So you're not sitting back relaxing going, I'm going to retire soon.
no, I'm not. I work a lot. I work a tremendous amount of hours. One of the jobs is in events. That takes up so many hours a day. And the other job is an early morning cleaning job.
Right.
So one's a fairly monotonous job,
Yep.
and the other one's a crazy job
Yeah.
that doesn't have regular hours. So
Yeah. Okay. So
I do
tell
work
me
hard.
about then, interestingly, you didn't just go on a wealth journey. You went on a bit of a health journey with us as well. So you started 75 Hard.
yes, I'm a little bit of a all in, all or nothing.
Yeah.
I look at it sometimes and think maybe I should just calm down a little bit, but I probably won't. So, I watched the first round of 75 Hard.
Yep.
That you would
Watching
have done
the other people,
at the end of 2024, and I thought, I could never do that. I'm too busy. I've got 2 jobs. I can't be adding all that stuff into my day. But I used to do a lot of long distance running when I was a little bit younger. And I really enjoyed that, and I missed that aspect. Long distance running requires a lot of time. There's no other way to say it. You got to run a lot if you want to run a long way.
Yeah.
And I hadn't done that for years. So I thought, well, you know what, I could actually, I could have a bit of a go at it.
Okay.
So
And you came in first place out of hundreds of people.
I did, yes.
How much weight did you lose?
13, just over 13 kilos.
Wow. And how do you feel?
Oh, really, really good.
Yeah. So in full disclosure, you won $10,000.
I did.
In that. So that's $100,000 off the mortgage. 90,000 is your slog, your hard work. 10,000 you won first prize because we gave away $10,000 for that. So what does life feel like now?
I actually wake up every day, get out of bed, and honestly can't believe that this is the life I get to live.
That's cool.
It's not a slog to get out of bed now. I get to do this.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Okay.
Like to even be in a community with a whole bunch of people doing 75 Hard, that was really cool. To jump online into the group and see what other people are doing, post what you're doing. It was very encouraging. That alone was encouraging enough to motivate me to keep on going. But then to get to the end of it and win it was wild. That was really wild. I had no concept that I would win it.
Okay.
So much so that I took a photo of myself that when I took the photo on day 75, I took the photo and I thought, do I really want to post that? You won't win anything. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
You didn't think I'd plaster it all over the internet? Sorry.
It's
well, you did great.
Good. Yeah.
You did great.
Yeah.
And have you been able to maintain some or all or any of those habits? What's life like today?
Yeah. I've maintained the diet habit. That really changed the way I felt. I was eating really poorly, and my doctor had challenged me to perhaps alter some of my lifestyle. Some of my markers in blood tests and things were a bit up. They're all perfect again now.
Okay.
She's really thrilled with me.
So just in that 75 days, you fixed your blood work, your health, your everything in that 2.5 months.
I went back to her and she was shocked. She said, "What have you done?" I said, "You told me to lose weight."
Yeah.
She said, "I don't think you'd do it."
Thanks for the vote of confidence, Doc.
She said, "Most people don't. They just make an excuse about why they can't."
It's hard, right?
Yeah. I said, "Well, you told me to do it, so it's done."
Excuses, results.
Yeah.
Can't have both.
Yeah. So it's probably just the way I do things. If I decide to do something, then I'll do it.
Okay.
So
today then, loans down like from 250 down to 150 odd. And you wanted to do REM, you mentioned.
yes, I I joined because I could see that there was a possibility that I could maybe have an investment property.
Okay.
So I thought maybe if I could sometime in the next 5 years have an investment property, that would be like, it'd be peak living for me.
Okay.
Something that I just thought I could never achieve.
Right.
So I set myself a 5-year goal to have an investment property, and it's already happened.
It's already happened?
It's already happened, which I just didn't conceive that was a possibility. So
now we've got home. Mm-hmm. We've got an investment property underway.
Underway, yeah.
Okay. And then what's the plan from there? Does that feel real?
No, it actually doesn't. I'm should be in the struggling middle-aged female on your own, starting over. I should be renting a little unit somewhere with a cat being sad.
Crazy cat lady.
Yeah, crazy cat lady.
I don't want to get too specific. When you bought the home, were you on that first job? Were you on a big income, average income, over 100, under 100?
I was on 60,000.
I appreciate the so $60,000, single lady, 50 years old, bought that home, not first, but bought yourself a home. So you're on $60,000 a year. You got a mortgage of $250,000. You're starting all over.
Yes.
Helping kids, helping yourself. You've then lost 13 kilos, won a health and fitness competition. You've then paid 90 plus the prize, but $100,000. You only owe $150,000 on your home. You've got an investment property about to complete. Life's very different in just a short space of time.
12 to not even 18 months.
Wow.
It turned on its head from wondering how I would get through to wondering what I'm actually capable of doing now. Like, where could I really go?
I want to ask you something. You said you're very all or nothing, but clearly 2 years ago, you were comfortable. Or you were comfortable being uncomfortable.
I had just resigned myself to the fact that this is what I needed to do.
Okay.
So I'll do it, but it wasn't there was no
pleasure
in it.
When you got out of bed each day, you're just going through the motions.
Just get out of bed, go to work. This is what I need to do.
Okay.
This is how people get houses.
Yep.
And this is this is my lot in life, I guess. So that's what I need to do. I wasn't unhappy. I was quite a happy person, had a lovely family, great grandkids, we all get along really well, but there was nothing to motivate me.
So what flicked the switch to get that hunger, that drive? What changed? Or just watching the kids going, whoa, what changed?
Well, watching the kids, but I think once I ran my own numbers through my own spreadsheet. Sorry, I didn't trust yours.
That's all right. Hey, I don't mind. I've heard it thousands of times.
I know you have. Now I realise how good they really are.
Mine always look a little bit better.
I think it was just that I realised that I could actually do something. I didn't just have to try to do the bare minimum and leave something for my children. I didn't have to leave them the bare minimum. I could actually achieve something for myself.
And them.
Which, I was just only thinking of them.
Right.
If I can just scrape a little bit together, just have one house, at least leave them. My thought was, if the house is worth, $600,000 when I'm not here anymore, at least the kids would have a little bit of money each, which was a very limited perspective on life, but I didn't know any better. So I think it was the thought that I could then leave my children a whole lot more, but also actually enjoy my life and have something exciting to work towards and have a whole new outlook. I mean,
So it's like an awakening.
Yes,
it's like seeing fire for the first time.
It is. And it came at a point in my life where I, kind of hit a bit of a dead end. You work towards something, you assume that your life will be like X, and it doesn't work out. So you have to make a whole new life. So it just came at the right time.
So friends and family, obviously family pretty supportive. Do you find anyone from the outside looking in, like you said to the kid, it's a scam, it's too good to be true? Does that shift with any friends and support network as well, where they're kind of looking on, will things change, or does anything change in that environment?
Yes, I think first of all, my family, all of our family, we're probably in a very unusual position in that all of us are happy to learn new things.
Right.
So, for example, even my parents, who are 80, they've wanted to learn and listen and understand. And they're very excited about what we're all doing. They think it's terrific. They own the home. They don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
So in that close family environment, really good. But to try to explain to other people what you're doing, it looks a little bit strange. And so some people have said, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe you should just focus on what you're doing now. Do you really want to do 2 jobs? Is that a smart move? I see that as a short-term thing while I build into this other job, which will then pay me more. But it's just, you can't explain something to someone if they don't want to go and look at it and understand it.
They have to be. If somebody's mind is completely closed off to something, all you're going to do is argue with an idiot. I'm not saying they're idiots, but it's like Chinese and English or Spanish and Dutch. They're completely different languages, right? So it's very difficult to try to help somebody if they're not prepared to even listen, because it's just negative.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me, because I share online what I do. It's part of motivating myself. I have I've got an Instagram page,
Update,
and every week I update how much I've paid off my mortgage. Once a month I do it, and then once a year.
And what's the page called for anyone that wants to have a creep?
Mortgage Free Fast.
Mortgage Free Fast. We'll pop it in the show notes here.
I started it to motivate myself. If I have to publicly put something out every week or every day, I know how to internally motivate myself. So I did that, and then people started seeing it, which is fine. And so people have started following along. But I've got friends and family who see that, and a lot of them do send me private messages like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like, how do you do that? It doesn't make any sense. I just send them straight to your webinar.
And just leave it at that.
I just listen, and you can do it if you want. But it's not me. It's I've learned, and I'm applying what I've learned. That's it.
I love it. Good on you for putting yourself out there, because that one other person sees this and goes, well, I'm starting all over again, and I'm single, and I thought I was fucked, and I had no opportunity. It can be done.
Absolutely.
We just don't know what we don't know, and the system is really, really fucking messed up. But once you see it, it's like, oh man, I wish I'd been doing this forever.
That's the hard part.
It's frustrating, right?
That is the hard part.
But let me ask you this. Home, investment, smashing the debt. What's the dream for Sharene?
The dream for me, I've thought long and hard about this, because I've actually had to face this.
Yeah. And does it look different now compared to a few years ago?
It does.
Okay.
It really does. Someone said to me once, is that the house that you really want to live in? This is when I first got the house.
Yep.
And I said, no, but this is what I can do. This is all that I can do. And I've realised recently that I am not limited anymore. I'm actually not limited to just being stuck with what's in front of me. There are so many options. So if I wanted to move, I could.
Well, that's why I'm asking you, because it's like, when the investment's finished, and I know what's happening for you in that area and that sort of stuff in the next few years, and the rate that you're paying down debt, you're going to be debt-free shortly on the home.
I will be, yeah.
Plus, we're going to have an investment that's made profit. So I'm looking at these two things and going, well, what's next for Sharene?
I would love to live in an apartment closer to where I work. I work in Brisbane City, right in the middle of the city.
Okay.
It's a fairly long commute every day, there and back. I've got a massive, big backyard that I don't need.
Okay.
So
maybe we're going to sell the home that we've been able to pay off in a couple of years, sell the investment for a tidy little profit, combine those forces, and get a beautiful apartment in the city.
That sounds amazing.
Okay.
Sounds amazing.
Okay. I think we can do that a little bit quicker than you think.
Oh, now I'm going to be scared.
Well, slow and slow. I think we can do it a little bit quicker than you realise by really projecting out where we should be in 3 months and 6 months and 12 months and 24 months. So I definitely think we need to do this again because it's June now. So let's do this again in December. But let's have a chat in the next couple of weeks about what that might look like and when, as well with your current capacities. Because whilst the second job's a means to an end now, or one better job, whatever it may be in life for Sharene, we can reverse engineer those numbers and use a very specific chronological time sequence of when we put a deposit on the home in the city versus when it settles versus when the investment's sold and the home sold.
Okay.
So if we can reverse engineer, and this is what advisors don't tend to do, they sell you something. But if out my brain, if we can sit down and reverse engineer the outcome, it's like bumper bowling. We know we want to get a strike, right? So if we know what the strike looks like and where it is and what it costs and when we want it, all I need to do is put the bumpers up and just play the math within the bumpers. Now, given your personality, forget the bumpers, drop them down, you're going for the fucking strike, right?
Yeah.
But if that makes sense, we can really reverse, and now you know it's true, we can reverse engineer that outcome. And go, cool, I want that property at 57, 58, or whatever it may be, and maybe you have a little bit of debt for that, but you know that you can pay off the 100 or 200. You might want to you might want a river view with your apartment.
Oh my gosh.
All right? So maybe we do take on a little bit of debt. It depends on the investment. So let's do that. So because the number one thing I get messages about, oh, you always show couples. I'm like, I get heaps of successful singles, but predominantly couples, families, kids are looking for a financial escape. But so are singles. But the number one thing I get messages on is, can you share any single success stories for me? Well, Exhibit A, here's another brilliant success story, but not everyone's prepared to go to the effort you've gone to.
You do, yes, that is, I have had to work hard. I've had to make a decision about having a second job, but to me that's worth it. If you're going to just sit there and make an excuse about why you can't do it, you actually can do it if you choose to. But you've just got to choose to take on the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you take on the work, it'll produce the results.
So tell me, what advice would you give, or words of wisdom could you share from your journey? Because you've tried to make some change and some of it's worked and some of it said come back later on. What are a couple of things you could share with somebody at home? Right, let's target the singles, right? So single person sitting at home and going, oh, well, I can't do that because I've only got one income and I'm 50 or I'm 60 or I'm 40 and I'm starting all over again. What advice would you give those people?
I think you have to, like you were just saying about reverse engineering, if you haven't got a goal and you're just complacent about where you are, you're disappointed about where you are, think about where you would actually like to be and what do I have to do to get there. So no one's going to come in and change it for you. You can offer someone all the information in the world, but if you don't want to actually stand up, go out and find a way to change your circumstances, they're not going to change. So if you've got a vehicle, then get in it and drive it. Like, actually use it. Stop making excuses. There's plenty of ways to make things happen. I said maybe it sounds a bit harsh, but if you haven't got someone else to rely on, then you've got to rely on yourself.
Kerry always says a man is not a financial plan.
No, it's
but
it's
if it's you on your own, male or female, if it's you on your own, you can have excuses. You can have results. But you can't have both.
Ditch
and
the
as I always
excuses.
say, so choose your hard.
Yes.
It's hard being on your own and saying you're broke and not liking your circumstances. It's just as hard to get a second job or harder to get a second job and be tired and make everything fit in your life. They're both hard. Which one is more fulfilling?
And I
choose your hard.
To think about to me, it's more fulfilling to be tired and work hard and see your goals being achieved. That's exciting. It's much more exciting than getting plenty of sleep and being frustrated with your circumstances.
Post-COVID, so a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to work hard. I deserve to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, clock on, clock off. I deserve to eat Uber Eats every night because I'm so busy working 9 to 5. It's a lot of it's true, right?
Yeah, it
and
is.
then you put that person next to you at a function, say, or a friend's house, and you're like, and they're woe is me, but they're doing the bare minimum in society, and that should be their right to be successful.
Yes.
Versus someone who's busting their guts and their health and their where there's no minutes in the day, but this person's whinging.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing you whinge.
No, there's no point to whinging. It doesn't serve any purpose. Just
It's a lot of hot air.
take the whinging and maybe go and do something.
I don't think you can be any more honest than that. Anything else you've learned on your journey so far? So, I mean, 1, stop making excuses. 2, reverse engineer a plan. Anything else? Any other words of wisdom that you've had to? Anything you've had to overcome, or anything around your budgeting or your belief system? Anything at all for the people that are struggling?
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. A belief system. Something that really resonated with me that you speak about a lot is the motherhood statements that we learn growing up. I'm in my 50s. All the things that I've learned up until this point about finances have all had to be unlearned. And it's actually really scary as a 50-something-year-old person to unlearn all of the things that we've been taught and do the opposite. So you've got to be willing to take the risk.
Imagine doing the opposite of everything you've been taught for 50 years and then being $100,000 better off in under 12 months.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
It's just remarkable. I had 20 different bank accounts with all my little bits of money. I had one savings account that I'd spend a little bit out of every week, and I could just see it all going away to nothing. But to turn that around, listen to what you said, completely change everything, shut everything down, put it all into the loan, go against everything that I'd ever been taught and that I knew to be right, is scary. But I figured, you know what, this way's not working, so I might as well go the other way.
Until you feel enough pain to go, I've done this for 50 years and it isn't working, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah, and it's phenomenally better.
Well done. You should be bloody proud of yourself. Now, we're going to get you back in December-ish approximately to see where this evolves, because I think we can play with this strategy and this plan a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And we can come back and do a bit of a review. But I'm curious if you've got any questions for me before we wrap up today.
I've actually thought about this. Right back from when I first started listening to you, and because once I started, I just went to every place that I could find you, all the Both Sides podcasts.
Yep.
I just listened to all of those probably about 10 times in a row.
Okay.
All of any webinar, anything I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
So there is something that I'm curious about, and that to hear your story of where you came from and the change that you made in your life, a pretty radical change like most of us do. What's the thing that you are most proud of in your life? That and not even it doesn't even have to be an achievement, but what is the thing that you look back at now and say, well, I'm really proud of that thing that's happened or that I've done, because I'm just really curious about
I can tell you straight away, it's contribution. And by contribution, and I share this a lot in this series of podcasts, it's contribution to those that matter to us the most, besides society, charity. Specifically, last weekend we bought 4 properties for family. So when I say contribution, it's contribution to that inner circle that really matter. And we do plenty of contribution to our community, like wild amounts. Like if you look in our group, there's sometimes hundreds of presents going out every single day just because we care. Because it's not about the money. And our team do really good at that, by the way. But literally last weekend, we're in Port Macquarie, and we bought our niece and nephew a home, their first little homes. And we bought Beck's cousins, who were twin boys. We helped them buy their first homes. So for me, and we've done it for both of her aunties. We've done it for my parents. Mum had car problems recently on a new car I only bought her a few years ago, which I said was a shit car. So I said, I'm picking this one. So I just bought Mum a new car. She loves, so she literally messaged me last night. She's like, hey, baby. There's Mum, you know, I'm a big bloody baby, but I just got my first 1,500 kilometre service and they put the floor mats in for me that they forgot it, you know, and she's wrapped. She's my new car, so I get in the car and say, take me home. And the GPS turns on because the vision's not great in one of her eyes. She gets up. So things like that contribution for me, that's what makes me tick. Like I can stop, I'm comfortable, I don't want for anything, I don't need anything. It's just family for us now, for Beck and I. And that was kind of the last little box to tick. So some immediate family we really wanted to help. And once that was done, it was like, right, we're ready to start a family, hopefully in the new year. And we've looked after everyone around us. It's that contribution piece. That fills me up. So
That's really exciting to hear.
Yeah.
To know that that's actually really the bottom line of it.
That's all it is for us. Like we flew down to Port Macquarie where her family are, and then we had to drive back because there was the floods.
Yes.
And we've got a holiday or home down there. We had Pop and Aunt, you know, and we had to get out of there. So, and Beck thought it was quite funny because I like nice things, and we bought my niece a Hyundai i30.
Yes.
And she, for whatever reason, didn't like it. And we just bought a Hilux, a very expensive, beautiful car for down there when the renovation's finished. And my niece's dream car is a Hilux. So we gave the niece the Hilux.
Wow.
Anyway, it started flooding down there, very horrific and sad. We're like, well, we can't fly out. We had a lot of important stuff on. We can leave now if we hire a car. Oh, we'll take the i30. So Beck thought it was hilarious because here I am driving a little Hyundai i30 up the motorway, aquaplaning along, very humbling. And drove that home. So, but it's those things, it's those touch points of contribution of, we don't work because we want anything else. We work now because we love what we do, and we get to see our niece or nephew or cousin or mum or auntie, or we get to see them flourish and grow. And it's that journey, that's what makes me tick. Because I mean, money will just magnify who you are. And once you figure out the money code, once you crack the money code of budgeting and investing, those sorts of things, you can really do whatever you like, but it will just magnify who you are. So that's it for me. It's just that contribute. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I think if I die tomorrow, who would come to my funeral?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, and I have an absolute fear of nothing. Like it can all be taken off me tomorrow because that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
So for me now, it's not about us. We have beautiful things, nice home, we give back a lot. It's about making sure that those around us and our team will tell you, we do some wild things for our team on their first home and investments and all sorts of things. So it's really making sure that everyone wins equally because society is very disproportionate.
Yeah.
Very disproportionate. And it's getting harder and harder and the haves and the have-nots. So yeah, I'm a bit of a weirdo. I think like, if I went tomorrow, I hope my niece and my nephew and Beck's cousins and mum and friends and clients, I think, shit, I could have a state funeral. I got so many in the Infinity community that bloody love me. We'll book a stadium and have a festival, right? But yeah, so I think for me, it's definitely giving back to those that are nearest and dearest and public as well. But that's what really lights me up. I think karma's a big thing too. I noticed that, and I'm only just realising, but the more I do for others, the more that seems to flow my way. And I'm not doing it because I want any acknowledgement for it. You know, I really care about my niece and nephew and cousins and mum. I want her to be in a safe car. So it's not because I want anything in return, but I also share it honestly when people ask because I wish more people would do it. And the average family, not in a position to help each other financially because they usually fuck each other over, or when they need it back, they can't get it back. For Beck and I, it's like, here, it's yours. Here's the keys, it's done. So that's the big thing for me, is doing stuff for them.
It's actually a real draw card for me personally to the Infinity brand is your generosity and your encouragement of all of us to give. It was something that was so important to me. It's really important to me that I give out of what I have regardless of how much I'm earning. Yep. And often when you go to a financial institution, they want you to stop that. They say, what's this money for? And I said, that's money I give to World Vision or to whichever charity I'm choosing to give to, and they're like, well, that's too much. You've got to stop doing that. And I'm like, well, it's kind of a deal breaker for me. I need to do that.
I've stopped at periods because I realised I have to help myself. So fit your own oxygen mask first. But it doesn't take long to then give more, if that makes sense. So I have stopped at points when they say, hey, the bank says, well, you can't do that. And I go, okay, but I'll do my numbers again, do this, and go, well, if I just stop for 6 months, would I be in a position in 6 months times the interest I saved to go back and do more?
It's so encouraging to see that.
It's just a different way of thinking about it. Yeah.
It's a very exciting thing to see your generosity. It's exciting to be a part of, Infinity, where, at the Christmas party last year,
that was fun.
Raising the money and bringing all the presents in. It was
truckloads.
So exciting.
And we're gonna do twice as much this year.
Oh, I love it.
I'm calling it now. I've done every podcast. Everyone's a $500,000 this year or bust.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and hopefully probably 5,000 presents or 10,000. Who knows? But it's going to be wild. We're going to make sure that as many people that are struggling this year for Christmas, it's a really tough time of the year with suicide and loneliness and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think there's got to be that one day of the year, like a birthday or Christmas, where people have a decent meal. They know somebody cares, even if it's a stranger, because it helped me.
Yeah.
So we're going big this year.
That's good. I'm excited. I'm so excited to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
It was tremendous.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, anything else you want to ask me?
No, I think that was really the question that I wanted to know. I mean, we know what you think about numbers and stuff like that. It's just always interesting to know.
I will say that it's easy and people say this sometimes on socials and stuff, but it's easy to give back when you're in a position to. It's when you feel you're not, or the effort to get there. Most people in business are in a position of scarcity. Most advisors are not doing any better than you. The person that does your loans probably in a little bit better position. The accountants, etc. So just for people out there, make sure that the people you do business with align with your values, because if they don't align with your values, their advice probably won't align with your outcomes. Because if they're doing it just for the income, which is business, that's commercial, but they're probably not there when times get tough. So make sure you're picking the right team, the right people, the right vibe, community, all that sort of stuff, because you need to align in more than just the transaction of the loan or the house or whatever it may be. So
it's true, and your team here are amazing.
Amazing.
Just incredible.
I don't really need to do anything now. I can just sort of retire. They're all over it. They're great. You'll see this year like 5 or 6 boys and girls in our team, all top 100, all fighting it out to be the best in the country. Like, really bloody proud of them.
Yeah,
so,
they're as a client, the team that you provide for us is just the best thing. To get a text from someone to say, hey, you're doing really well, you're smashing it, good job, keep going. To have that backing is
that's good to hear.
Tremendous. Like,
that's good feedback.
If you're out there working hard and someone notices and says, hey, you're doing a good job, it just makes I feel like, I can go and do it. I can do a bit more. I can do a bit more.
It's nice to feel seen and valued every now and then, right? Because it's too easy to just become a number. So it's important to feel valued.
You've got an awesome team.
We do appreciate it. Thank you. Well, we're going to do this again.
Okay.
In 6 months.
Okay.
Maybe sooner. And see what evolves on this plan.
Okay.
To get you to Brisbane. With a bit of a river view maybe. Or at least in the city.
That sounds
daunting.
Yeah, I'm terrified.
Well, watch this space, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Sharene.
Thank you, Graham. Thanks. You so much.